Well, good evening and welcome to our December board meeting. First, let me apologize for not having enough seating in here. We kind of overloaded the agenda tonight with some recognitions because this is our only meeting for the month of December, but we're happy you could be with us. Appreciate all of you coming out and celebrating Christmas with us. I'm sure that's why you're here. But we like to begin each meeting with a moment of silence and would invite you to join us if you'd care to. Thank you. First on the agenda is approval of tonight's agenda, the December 9th regular board meeting. Without objection, we will approve the agenda. The agenda for December 9th is approved. Next, special recognition, Seneca High School Girls Cross Country Champions.
Yes. Coach Wall, you want to come up and if you don't mind introducing the girls, and we have something we'd like to present to you guys and all the your assistants as well. And we'll get as soon as he.
Okay, let him introduce.
Can I get you to come over to this microphone? Just it'll help get it clear on our recording for the. Yeah, so you can do Can
everybody hear me?
Yeah, that's.
Okay, good.
You don't have to talk right into it. As long as you talk in the general direction, you'll be good.
I will. This is some of our 2019 girls cross country team, 18-19. This is Catherine Can, she's a senior. Carson Tao, Emma Pageant, Sydney Doyle, Kayla Collins, Nicole Fagan, Ava Nimmons, and Maceo Henry. And this is one of our assistant coaches, Coach Hayes Cross. These girls have worked really hard. It's the second year in a row that they've won the 3A state title for cross country.
We got the Career Center, some of our own students, to print a couple of banners for you guys to hang up on campus there.
So this is for last year.
Oh, awesome.
Actually, you're the first group we started doing this with. Repeat winners. So this is for this year. So you can hold those and do it.
We're going to get the school board members to come stand behind you. We'd like to get a picture for our website as well. The school board congratulating you guys.
Just plug our Career Center made those.
That's awesome. Yeah, these are great.
School board members, y'all stand up on the little step there. And maybe y'all can take kind of a half a step back there. There we go. There we go.
I need Dr. Sloan to get between. You slide down. There you go.
Hold on, guys.
And that's Lexi Ransom.
And you saw how quick she ran in? All right, for Twitter, smile. All right, I got 3. Thank
For
you.
those of you parents that didn't get a good one, we'll make sure Mr. Hamby's picture gets to the coaches so they can distribute it to any parent who wants it.
Great, thank you.
So,
Thank you all so much for the recognition.
And they'll take care of that. Okay, next on the agenda is another special recognition. a call to action Oconee, the bullying prevention poster contest winners, Miss Suzanne Merrill and Celeste Norris.
So good to see everybody here this evening. We usually do this in the daytime, but we decided it was suggested we do it with the school board here, and so we were thankful for that opportunity. Had some great posters and submissions. As I call your name, Ms. Norris is going to hand out your poster, and if by grade level, you'll just stand up here. We're going to take a picture of the whole grade level before you sit down, okay? Kindergarten, first grade, third place, Will Porter. Second place, William Durham. And first place, Jake Williams. Stand right there and get your picture.
Are we gonna, do I need to get them individually, or we gonna bring them up, all back up, or how we gonna do it?
Grade level.
We can do all of them if we can, but we'll just do them by grade level first. Okay, second and third grade. We had an honorable mention. We had first, second, third place, but another one was submitted that we thought was really good. Riley Donald. Third place, Noah Worley. Second place, Mason Carland. And first place, Ashton Clark. I need to tell you these certificates have money with them. Maybe they'd be more excited to get their certificate.
Cash money parents, so make sure you.
Okay, that's right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fourth and fifth grade, honorable mention, Hunter Tribble.
You know, we're good.
Oh, wow.
Third place, Ian Bertrand. Second place, Luke Ballou. And first place, Lane Abels. And our grand prize winner for elementary school is Savant DeShields. Crescencio Lopez.
I spoke with African schools.
Okay, thank you. May I give this to you?
Thank you.
Make sure that cash stays in it.
You got a card.
Third place, Aurora Sholkoff.
Almost everyone.
Second place, Gabriel Fix. First place, Cadence Bronsdorf. And grand prize for middle school, Haley Stapleton. Now, our high schoolers did public service announcements, and they were pretty awesome. One I have got on our website, calltoaction.org, and you can look at that. The other one, when I figure out how to get it on there, you can look at that one too. So, second place is Olivia Sires. Good job. And first place is Alex Sharp. Thank you so much, parents, for supporting this. It's a very huge topic right now. Bullying is, and I can truly thank the school district for all that they have done to help us on that.
Yes.
Excellent job. Thank you so much.
Picture of all the winners. So if all the winners could come back up for one picture real quick, that'd be
You
great.
don't have to bring your poster or a certificate. You guys come up.
You want to stand with them?
Y'all want to get, yeah, y'all come stand with us. Okay, guys, if you
Call the
can,
folks on the back rows.
we're gonna put the school board with them.
Yeah, you call the folks on the back without stepping up on the heat, left row. You come all the way back.
Y'all come back to the blue right here. School board on the step.
You got it back to the front. One row.
Right in front of us.
Right across.
Y'all are talking. You come right back here. Right there you go. That's perfect.
It's just gross outside.
Yeah.
Hey, Chief.
1, 2, 3, smile. One more. Oh, you're all right. Thank you. Good job. Now, little these seats.
Yeah.
Tell them. I think I had a lot of pressers come support the kids tonight.
Yeah, I can say.
Give everybody a minute or so.
Yeah. Well, they're here for they're doing their, I'll tell you that.
But some of the guidance, counselors are responsible for the poster contests.
Who's here for the academy? Tracy's here.
She's here somewhere.
Oh, there she is, yeah, the other guy, I think I was standing in front of him.
I do anti-bullying. I do
Thank you for coming.
Like,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
let's clear them out real quick.
Yeah.
Write it to Jane.
He'll call.
I think we should have had to pledge first.
Yeah, probably so. Oh, well.
Everybody deserted us. Yeah. So your name on the agenda
Hey,
left.
don't take it personally, we're used to it. Yeah, wait till you get to the financial.
Next on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance and School Highlight by Oconee Academy. Miss Tracy Long. Miss Long, come up and
All right, everyone, if we could stand and salute and pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Just wanted to thank y'all again for the opportunity to come speak to you and the continued support of our program and what we're doing. I have our guidance team here with us today, Mr. Chris Parker, our guidance counselor, Ms. Stacy Frick, our mental health counselor. Right. This year, when we're in the transition, every 2 to 3 years, we rehire for positions. We had 2 teachers that actually retired this year. Which gave us an opportunity to mix some things up, change some things around. Hired 2 new additional teachers, Miss Moss from Seneca Middle. She's come on doing math. She does middle school pretty much half the day, but she also does the Foundations of Algebra class, and which allowed us to move Mr. Hopkins into high school to do all the other math that we offer. And then the one thing that I am excited about is we actually got to add a science teacher. When we have not had the science instruction, now we can round out the curriculum a little bit better and have somebody with expertise in every content of the core subject of ELA, math, science, and social studies. We also added a new Apex Online Learning ISS assistant in our building, Mr. Sean Watkins. He's doing a great job working and mentoring with our young men, which is always a positive to get a few more, gentlemen in the building that our guys can actually relate to and bond with. Then some of our biggest parts of our program, academics is one thing, but getting to the service and the character ed and building those relationships with our kids, we take a lot of pride in what we do and get them out in the community doing things. This year we worked with Tammy's Farm again, which we turn their beds, we clean out stalls, we muck stalls, we do it all, we paint fence, just to teach kids what it is to work, because you find out real quick which kids have worked and which kids have not worked before. So it's a great time for us to get out. We also maintain the grounds there at the school, so you'll see our kids out mulching and picking up, cleaning up leaves and so forth. We take a lot of pride in maintaining the building as well. But again, just teaching those soft skills that the kids don't have. Teach them how to clean, what to do, and how to handle things. This year for Veterans Day, we went to Walhalla First Baptist Cemetery, which has some of the oldest gravestones in the whole county. And we cleaned the cemetery, cut back branches and stuff. But we also put flags on the graves. But we also went a step further. They actually have Confederate gravestones there. And we put out Confederate flags as well. We're going to turn over into character education. I'll let Ms. Frick talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. You want to do it?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, and so we have a big proponent of what we do is our character education grade for all our students. A lot of times it starts our day off with our morning meeting, and I think Mr. Parker will touch a little bit on that too. But with this, we also do some activities. So we keep wanting to get the students involved, let them know what kind of services are out there for them. And this year, we had Ms. Howell, who's taken over for Mr. Hood, Sodexo. Sometimes I end up calling it Sudoku. Is that the game? Yeah. So Sodexo, so I got it right tonight. And she practices table etiquette with our students, which is something that I have learned from also. Which way you pass the salt. Your elbows don't know to be on the table. If you need something, who do you ask to send it to you? You don't necessarily go across the table or across the person next to you on how to do it. So, and to be honest with you, our kids really enjoy this. Because it's definitely something new that they've learned. A lot of times, kids will eat in front of the TV, right? That's how there are families who sit around a table, but a lot of times it's like everybody sits in the living room and watches TV, so this is something very different for them. Over on here on the side, we have a connection to a troop, a unit who has been deployed to Afghanistan, and so we were able to send 30 bags over there. We had some food, some candy, we had cleaning supplies, like soaps and deodorants and things like that. So we were able to put 30 bags together for these troops, and we did get confirmation this week that they have gotten those bags. And so for us, it was something that we could give back to the military and those who are serving around the holidays who can't be home with their families.
Come in and talk about a few of our other initiatives that we've got started this year.
Yeah, we're really ramping up our ability to work with our young people that are coming to our program. And one of the big things that we've established is we already had a mentor program, but now we're partnered with Mentor Coney. And as they go through the training process, they're looking for specific people that would meet our population. And so it's been really great to go through their training at the beginning of the year as a counselor myself, and then also to work with the organization to bring in people that aren't going to be inhibited by, a potential of what they see our kids have done, but actually take the time to sit with them and learn from them. We do have several mentors that have been with the program for a few years. One of them is Mr. Marvin Hill. You can see him in the lower corner picture here. He does a morning meeting for us the fourth Monday of every month, and he comes in and meets with the kids and always has a vast amount of wisdom to impart on the kids, and they do enjoy a lot of his stories that he tells and his history of working on the radio and being a part of Oconee County. So it's been a lot of fun with him. And we also have Mr. and Mrs. Giles, who are above them, and they are our support, our volunteers of the year from last year. And they've been working with kids for a few years, and they have an equestrian farm, and they do equestrian therapy. And so a lot of our girls meet with Mrs. Giles, and then they end up going to the farm and learning how to work with horses, and that helps with some trauma-based issues that a lot of our kids have faced along the way. A big thing is, this year we instilled Character Under Construction with Marvin Holyfield, and they come every other Tuesday to our building and meet with our kids, and they have a curriculum, and they have been really working. It's been really great. We call them the Tater Guys because the first lesson was potatoes and how different they are. You never get one that's the same, and there are different types of potatoes. So they've gotten a cute nickname from the kids and the faculty, the Tater Guys, and they love it. So we welcome them, and they're going to be with us for several more weeks, going into probably the second semester, if not further into the spring. And then finally, our second year partnering with Clemson Leap Forward, which is a program that's part of the engineering department at Clemson. And this is the third time we've taken a group over there. We did it twice last year. And they work, as you can see, they do some outdoor activities, and they do some team building exercises, and then they usually go into their students doing presentations for our kids about social economic situations, emotional behaviors, things that they experienced in high school and now what they're going through in college. So it's a great opportunity for our kids to be on a college campus working with college kids, to know that there's still hope for them to attain that goal if they want it. And so we want to keep that up. And then we have a few other things that we've been involved in. One is our, many of you come to our Thanksgiving celebration each year. This year it was extraordinary again. We had a great time. And we do other celebrations with our parents where they come and have fellowship and meals with us throughout the year. Our next one will be a spring cookout for the third 9 weeks. And we went to the AOP showcase with our middle schoolers this year, which is in Anderson at the Civic Center, and it was fantastic. Those kids didn't realize how much, and it amazes me every year because I realize it, but the kids don't realize how much of industry is in our county and in their backyard. And I think when they saw it in action and they saw some of these guys out there talking about their jobs, they really got excited. And our kids came back talking about it, and that's what we want them to do. We want them to be talking about teachers and careers and how they're going to get themselves back on track and on the right path. And then finally, this year, we continue our podcast, but we have also added what we call a One Book, One School. One School, One Book. And it's we're on our second book now, but we started with a book called Unwind, which is very much in line with a lot of our kids and what they are facing and our population. Some of them in trouble with the law, some kids just having some emotional issues, and the characters in the book parallel that very well. And what it was is during our holding time while we're waiting for students to arrive in the morning, whatever faculty member is in the room at the time reads the book to the kids, and the students eventually, at the beginning they're like, oh, and they want to put their head down, and then eventually they're all engaged, and they can't wait for the book to be read again. And there is a huge amount of sequels in this series that they're begging to be read. But we've switched to a different book just for them, just to kind of give them a variation. But that's been very exciting, and of course our podcast has been extraordinarily exciting, especially the feedback we're getting from people. And we have a few that are getting ready to be published again. And so we wanted to also talk to you about things that Ms. Frick and I have done. Both of us have been trained in the council, which is the One Circle Foundation. Stacy went and did the Girls Circle training a few years ago, and I last year did the council, which is for boys. And we are both operating groups within our school. I'm working with our middle school population now, and that's meeting with them once a week for about an hour. And we talk about various topics and do an activity together, and it's been a lot of fun. And I think it's made a big difference in the way that our kids respond to us in their building as well as to each other. And it allows them to vent and get out a lot of their concerns and the drama. As you know, any of you who have witnessed the middle school student, you know there's a lot of drama involved with them a lot. So we're thankful for that, and we're thankful for this training which was provided to us from the state. And it came with an entire curriculum, which is unbelievable. And so we're very thankful to be able to implement that, and hope that we'll get a few other people trained so that we can start having more rotation of groups.
And not only did they do the counseling there at the school, they also have tracked and followed all the students that we've worked with that are back in the home schools. And even today, Ms. Frick had to go to a school, and tomorrow they both are going to different schools to check on students that have reached out. So we have that support system still in place for our former students, and we really wrap around, and the homeschools are great about calling and say, hey, can one of y'all come by? And they've done a phenomenal job of just going back and checking on kids and helping the schools troubleshoot some things. So again, that's Florida Community Academy. Thank you for having us tonight. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.
Well, thank you, Ms.
Appreciate your
Lord.
support as a board. Thank you.
Appreciate what y'all do.
Appreciate what each of you do. Thank you very much.
What grades are you dealing with on the podcast? Is that middle school?
That's both.
The both?
7th through 12th grade, through 12th grade.
Okay. And the reading that you do at the beginning of the day, that is the same?
One school.
Great.
Yeah, it's just to read aloud by the teacher, and then just a meaningful engagement and discussion. And like Mr. Parker alluded to, we have buses that come in, and they're not all on the same time. So we've got about a 30-minute window in between the first and last bus, and we were trying to find something that was rich and relevant that all kids could relate to, but not miss any content.
So they're all separate, they're not serial. If you miss one, you don't miss everything, right?
No, if the child may come in, they can get caught up on what's going on in the book if they haven't been reading, and we've had several of that, because we have kids that come in on a rolling enrollment, they can come in a few weeks after we start the year. Then they all seem to get engaged, yeah.
To have the kids do the Cliff Notes version, that's very enjoyable.
Yes.
Their comments on how they
Perceive the book.
yeah.
And if anybody wants to listen to a podcast, you can go to the Apple Podcast Manager on your phone and search for Those Kids, and it'll pop up. It's that's the icon. I'll be happy to share it with you if you want to see it. But you can hear what our alternative school students have to say.
About the Brand X.
We've got iTunes and Spotify on there. We've got almost 1,000 watches at this point, so and it's worldwide. I mean, we've got a atlas out where you can see all the different people that are logging in. So it's
We've
really
gone international.
Yeah, we've gone international.
We've got
That
Indonesia,
does
Russia.
worry me about that mode now. But yeah, we're there. So,
Well, thank you all again very much.
thanks so much. Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, you too. Next on the agenda, public comment. Ms. Gibson, anyone none signed? Okay. Next is approval of minutes for the November 11th work session, regular meeting board combination. Without objection, we will approve the minutes. Minutes for November 11th, 2019 are approved. Discussion items, audit report, Ms. Moore.
Yes, sir. It is my pleasure to welcome Don Eastep and Brian Beanier, I think I said it right, from Stanford to present the results of our audit for this year. You all have at your place an expert from the report, but he's going to be talking from his PowerPoint.
Pleasure to get to come before the board again this year, and first of all, I'd like to say that the most important part is the opinion we give on the audit, and it was unmodified this year, which is the best level that we can give on an audit report. Our single audit reports, one on internal control, one on compliance, both of those were unmodified, which is the best you can get in those type of reports. So it was a very good year from that standpoint. Gloria and her staff did a good job of helping us. We've got some slides here that we would like to go through briefly just to give you an overview of the financial audit itself. Go ahead and do the first. And this is your net position. This is when you net all your assets and liabilities together. What is the net position of the school district? And if you look at the governmental funds, we actually had a positive change of $4.7 million this year from the prior year. And for the food service, which is our business type activities, you had a positive change of $650,000. So for the district as a whole, you've improved your net position by $5.3 million. Now you may notice that these are negative net positions. We have a little note down at the bottom kind of lets you know that this net negative position is caused by the pension liability that the district has and the other than pension post-employment benefits that you're responsible for. Both of these are numbers that are given to us by the state plans, the pension plan itself. And a couple of years ago, we had to start recognizing each governmental entity's share of the statewide liability for the pension plan. And instead of having a positive net position, it threw us into a negative net position. But as you see, it's starting to improve a little bit. And you'll see some other slides in a minute that kind of illustrate that. The next slide is the budgetary comparison slide. This is just demonstrating for the revenues, how much did we budget and how much did we actually receive. And you'll see the budget variance, we actually got over $1 million more from local sources than what we had budgeted. And we got about $800,000 more from state sources. So a couple of $1 million more than what we had budgeted. The state money, of course, you don't ever always know exactly how much they're going to send us. And the local sources just depends on, whether the assessed millage goes up or down. If new properties are brought into our millage base, then we end up collecting more than what we thought we were going to get. The next slide is your expenditure comparisons to the budget. And you'll notice that, we actually spent a little bit less than we had budgeted for instruction, a couple $100,000, but we spent more on support services, about $400 grand. So we actually spent about $200 grand more than what the revenues were budgeted to spend. If you look at the next slide, we're just comparing revenues for this year to the prior year. And you'll see that our local source revenue went up about $400,000. State sources went up $1.3 million. So our total went up about $1.7 million. And then the expenditure side, your Expenditures went up 2.3 million for instruction, and went up 2.1 million for support. So we actually spent 4.4 million more this year than what we spent the year before. This is just the general fund we're talking about. Our next slide is the GASB statement for the pension money. This just illustrates how the pension numbers all interrelate to and what their effect is on the net position of the school district. You'll notice in the governmental column for fiscal year 19, it reduces our net position by $125 million. And that's a change of $1.9 million more of a negative than it was the prior year. The business type, which is food service, this year it had a negative impact of 1.7 million, actually improved 226,000 over the prior year. And I think Gloria said that's because there's less salaries, people are retiring from food service, and of course we're not rehiring because Sodexo, handles it. And then the 75 is the latest pronouncement that they made us start adding last year for all the other post-employment benefits like health insurance, things like that. And you see the net position on the governmental funds is a minus 114,000. It changed about 1.8 million more liability this year than it was last year. And for the food service, it was a negative position of 1.5, and it changed about 200,000 to good on those type benefits. Those kind of give you a good overview of everything. When we had our exit conference, the only thing we really discussed in detail that I thought was a good idea and thought we might mention it to the board is we were discussing fraud cases around the nation and the state. And one of the things that's recommended to help prevent fraud is to have like a hotline that people can call in anonymously and report fraud. And that's one thing that we kind of like to recommend is that the district set up some type of a phone number that people could call, because most fraud in governmental entities is reported by somebody that works there. It's very seldom that you find it just from doing normal audit procedures. Occasionally you do, but most of the time somebody reports it. So I would like for y'all to think about maybe establishing some type of a hotline or fraud line that people could call. And I think all governments really are to establish, and some have. The basics y'all can work out about who we get the calls and things like that. But that's just one thing that, there's a lot of fraud going on in all types of businesses, but in governmental and nonprofits, it's always a problem. And this is a pretty big district, so it wouldn't hurt to have something like that so that, people could find out about it as quick as possible. Does anybody have any questions about any of that?
I just wanted to point out a couple of things that I took note of as you were talking. First of all, on our expenditure budget, it did go up over $4 million, but if you remember, the state passed a 4% raise for teachers, and you chose to extend that raise to all employees. So in a $100 million budget, if you get a 4% raise and 90% of our budget is salaries, you would expect that kind of increase. And I also just want to compliment Gloria. If I did my math correctly, on the expenditure side, she was within 0.2%. That's pretty good number. I'd be happy if I could keep my budget within 0.2% in my house. So I do want to compliment her on that. And like Don said, we did discuss the fraud line, and we think we can set that up easily. We have a voice to text feature on the voicemails that we receive in our phone system in the school district. And we thought about if we did set something up like that, make that incoming call, convert it voice to text, and then send a message to all 5 of you and maybe a couple of us in the administrative team as well, so that, you know, if it were the superintendent or the finance director or something, you know, then it could be, there would be multiple people that would get it. We certainly want to do anything we can do to prevent fraud with Oconee County citizens' money as well. So we're happy to work on doing that if that's the pleasure of the board.
Very good job. Very good. $100 million budget to come within that variance is outstanding. Appreciate what you guys do as usual.
Y'all are always a pleasure to work with, Gloria's staff. I was telling Michael, I think earlier when we were doing our exit conference, a lot of audits you ask for stuff that you need, and you may get it in a week, you may get it in 2 weeks, you may get it in a month.
Yeah.
Here at a county school district, we'll get it that day or the next day. I mean, we don't have to wait for audit documentation usually from your staff, and it's not like that everywhere, trust me.
Thank you. We appreciate that very much, Don. Gloria, you have anything else on the audit?
I would just like to point out, in the general fund, the fund balance did go down just a little bit. If we budgeted that it would go down about $2 million, it didn't, because we got more revenue than we had budgeted for, but it did go down a couple $100,000, which is still a good thing.
Okay. That's a good thing. Anything else? Any questions? Ms. Moore? Next, local board approved courses, Ms. Simmons.
Yes, sir. We are already looking ahead to the 2021 school year. We've been working with our guidance departments at the high schools on the local board approved courses they would like to offer for next school year. The first document that you see is just the table of the courses. Anything that's highlighted in yellow are new courses that need to be approved by the board. So we have Marching Band Auxiliary Color Guard 2 being offered at Walhalla High School, Emergency Communications at the Hamilton Career Center, and then Sports Journalism at West Oak High School. After the table, you saw the actual applications for each of those highlighted courses. The first there was the Marching Band and Color Guard 2 for Chris Udell. This is the teacher there at Walhalla High School. This would be a year-long class for any 10th through 12th grade students at Walhalla High School. This is just going to be a curricular extension of the competitive color guard and the winter guard program. It also talks about how this program's been growing over the last several years. So they were able to offer Color Guard 1 last year. Now they're able to offer Color Guard 2 for next year. So we're excited that that's continuing to be a positive class there. He also attached the course syllabus, so you can see the description of the course there as far as their objectives that they're going to be working on, learning performance and evaluation skills for the visual ensemble. Training will consist of body and movement classes, equipment skills and techniques, and other performance skills. Shows how it's aligned to the South Carolina standards, what their grading practices will be for that course, and then the final piece of the syllabus there is the units of study that they would be taking within that class as far as behavior expectations and that type of thing, and how he would be communicating with parents. The second application was from Chad Lusk at the Career Center for Emergency Communications. This will be a one semester class for 11th and 12th grade students. Mr. Stephen Jenkins will be teaching that class. He has law enforcement background and also trained in dispatch, was a former law enforcement officer. So the students are going to be learning the curriculum to become certified by the National Academies of Emergency Dispatch as emergency telecommunicators. Pardon?
Like 911?
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right, and so there is some criteria that's not required, but for the students, they prefer for them to have had law enforcement 1, fire 1, or EMS 1, but they're not required, but this just gives them some prior knowledge that might help the students understand particular situations that might come up in this particular class. So you could see they have a very detailed syllabus or outline for this particular course because it is through the National Academies of Emergency Dispatch. Does a great job of actually just breaking down each chapter of the resource that they will be using to teach that course. And then the final application is for the sports journalism course at West Oak High School. April Witherspoon submitted this application. This will be for 10th through 12th graders. It's a semester class. Miss Amber Murphy, who is certified in English and middle level language arts, will be teaching this course. The students are going to be learning about sports media, reporting and writing in all different forms, including social media. They'll learn the fundamentals of the sports writing process, from gathering the information and interviewing and writing and editing. They wanted to offer this course because they lost their theater program in the English department, so they felt this would be a great replacement for another elective to be offered that they felt like their students would be very interested in. Most of the standards that you will see are related back to not only the inquiry-based literacy standards, but also standards in writing and also in communication in the ELA standards for the state. And towards the end, it gives you a good course outline of what they would be working on each week within that elective class.
Any questions, Ms. Simmons? Okay. And I guess that will be, we will approve those next month. November financial report, Ms. Moore again.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind, I want to go back to the audit for just a second. I failed to tell you that we have already posted the audit on the website, so it is, there is a link there for the public to view that and ask questions if they have any. And we'll be sending you a link so that you all can just look at it at your pleasure. And I mentioned the fund balance just a minute ago. We ended the 2019 year with $23 million, and that is still within our board policy. We're still good in that way. But a lot of times people criticize us for having a fund balance like that. But if you look at this month's report, our revenues, year-to-date revenues, are almost $25 million. But our year-to-date expenditures are $38.6 million. That's just in the general fund. There are other federal funds that we pay and then we get reimbursed for. So at this point, we're almost $15 million in the hole. Without that fund balance, we would be borrowing money to pay our bills. And our payroll is over $9 million now when you count all the matching and all of the insurance benefits. So having that fund balance is a real plus for us.
That's barely 2 months of expense right there. That's not a lot when you look at the overall budget.
That was all I was going to comment about the financial statement, but I'll be happy to answer questions.
Questions on the financial statement, expenditures, checks?
I think we just need to let everybody know that the audit report we ask the accountants to generate that for us, the board, and it's not something that the county to you guys ask for. We ask for it to check behind everybody. So I just want to make certain everybody knew that the board asked for that audit report, not y'all.
That's right.
Anything else? Okay, the one action item, policy IKAA test and examinations exemptions. Ms. Simmons, you want to talk about that a minute?
Absolutely. Since we met last time in November, We did share that we were going to make a couple of other revisions to this policy prior to this meeting. We did share those additional revisions at our last parent advisory meeting right before Thanksgiving break, and got good feedback there as well. So you will see that we made in the third paragraph a change for secondary students. We changed that to grades 9 through 11 will take cumulative exams at the conclusion of each course. But we also added in addition that 7th and 8th grade students at the middle school who are taking courses for high school credit will also take cumulative examinations at the conclusion of those courses as well. So that was one revision that we made, added in our middle school grades. Then we also added that seniors will have the option to take the cumulative exam to improve their overall grade. However, if they choose to take that exam, it will not have a negative effect on their overall grade. So that was a suggestion we had gotten from the student advisory group, that they thought maybe as seniors, if they were able to be given that choice, but they've been able to practice that procedures for studying and preparing for a cumulative exam all those years prior to being a senior. The state end of course test will serve as the cumulative exam. They will count as 20% of the course grade because that's mandated by the state of South Carolina. But then all other cumulative exams for courses will only count as 10% of the course grade. And then for our advanced placement classes, they will not give a cumulative exam. That counts 10% of the final grade, as their AP exam will serve as that assessment. And then everything below that in red has been crossed through due to the fact that we are not applying any examination exemption rules there.
Any questions on the changes since last when we talked about this?
Now, this is what the principals want, right?
So this is what the principals brought to you over the summer, was a change to have more students take the exams because there was a fear that we weren't preparing students for exams that they take in college. But we have vetted this policy fairly exhaustively. We took it to parent advisory so that parents would have a chance to weigh in, and then we took it to student advisory, and then we took what those two groups told us and took that back to the principals and let them weigh in on it. So
What about the teachers?
We count on the principals to do that with their teachers. So we are trusting that the principals are using their teacher leadership teams to vet that in the buildings.
Was the 10% originally 20%?
We had talked about that with student advisory, and that was something that they had mentioned.
Right.
We had actually brought it up as a possibility of changing that percentage to 10, and they.
I mean, it's currently right now 20%.
Right.
That's what I thought. Okay.
We thought since we were removing the, being able to exempt, lowering the stakes, the students felt like they still would be able to prepare, but they wouldn't be as, I think they said they were stressed if it was something
And
that they were.
Basically, they take the exam, and if it's a negative effect on their overall grade, it does not count.
That's right.
For seniors.
For seniors.
Just want to make certain of that.
Was it pretty positively skewed towards everybody wanting to do this? Did you have a lot of negative or some negative?
I haven't gotten any communication.
I think if you just ask the students if they want to take exams, they're going to tell you no. They understand the motivation behind it, and there was not much negative feedback. I think they understand that we want them prepared for college.
Anyone else? Can I get a motion to approve policy IKAA test and examination exemptions on first reading?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve on first reading policy IKAA test and examinations / exemptions on first reading.
I'll second that.
Motion and second to approve on first reading. Any further discussion? Those in favor? And it is unanimous. That concludes the open session portion of our meeting. We will go into executive session for personnel items, employment recommendations and changes, and an update on the Seneca Middle School property. Without objection, we will move into executive session, and we shall return shortly.